Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and some Diablo 4 news. Today I'm filling in for Cotton, who normally runs these news episodes, and I hope I fill in okay because today we have a lot to talk about. Big topics like the major surprise patch that's coming February 1st this Sunday. The patch was revealed just hours ago for me, with the pushback changes to say vampiric and suppressor enemies actually coming in now. Sweeping increases to damn near every stone. And as usual, lots of bug fixes that the game does need. On top of that, we had the new Blizzard president revealed after the many layoffs, who just so happens to be a former Activision executive. Also, there was that recent update that made the vaults actually worth spending pearls on, with the new Uber Vault currency being added. The community reaction to that was pretty positive at first, but the fact that the new cores only really come from one reliable source, which is the open world event grind, isn't exactly all that fun or difficult. Much more interestingly, it's recently been revealed that the Construct companion is able to decimate bosses in single target, so not so weak after all, and that's before those buffs that are coming on Thursday, by the way. So yeah, we have a few big topics to discuss today. Let's just get into it. Starting with a quick one, that new president to run Blizzard. This I might find less impactful than others. It follows on from the tons of layoffs for the pile of incredible people in Blizzard. Industry talent who've done a fantastic job, even by Blizzard standards. People who were promoted, a month later being fired. And not for anything that they've done, just because of the merger that occurred, and the fallout of that is usually layoffs. At the same time that all of that happened, the former president, Mike Ybarra, announced his departure. It was very much posed as if he was going in the same way as all these workers who had been laid off. Then he did a more private public post still, talking about how he's excited to go on a really long vacation and travel a lot, and then when he's done with that, he's going to come back for hyper growth opportunities. I'm sure he was paid a lot of money as well to step down. I definitely don't think he lives on the same planet as normal people who have lost their jobs for nothing that's really in their control. So that new president, Johanna Faries, I hope I pronounced that right, formerly of Call of Duty Esports. With the new instatement of this president, there's been a lot of delightful comments on the internet cesspool or Reddit, which is much the same thing, like the fact that she's not white or is in fact a woman. I'm not sure that has anything to do with the job, and to me it means very little. I'm sure she's just going to be a new figurehead to enforce the decisions the tops of Microsoft want for Blizzard. It could really be anyone in that position based on that concept, and I don't think she's going to do anything particularly good or bad in our interest, just serving Microsoft, which is kind of what the position's meant to do, right? Either way, my heart goes out to the many talented people who lost their jobs through the course of this merger. Okay, so let's now focus more on Diablo 4. In the last few days, we've seen tons of clips and showcases of how our companion construct is in fact super strong after all. Where it seems to actually shine the most is single target boss fights, where it can focus down one enemy by, say, piercing them with a heavy hit that reflects and returns back into the target multiple times, stacking up damage. Now, if you're a barbarian, you can further push the power of this by supporting it with shouts. That's because the construct benefits from you and your stats, and as you juice yourself up, you're also juicing up the construct. If you're shouting to juice yourself up, you're also buffing the construct, and because you're buffing yourself, you're also double buffing the construct. As a Necromancer, I'm not really able to go beyond the minimal point in that kind of format, but it's still very impressive. This is done by using both Tempest and Firefly as your governing stones. Though you could also consider Flash of Adrenaline in the place of, say, Tempest as an alternative. What happens here is Firefly shoots out a shot, and with multishot, it's firing out multiple projectiles. Then with piercing support, it goes through the target. If you also use seeking support, it's able to track the target, pierce it, spin around, come back for more hits, pushing the damage really high. That combined with the classic Tempest will be dealing lots of ticks of damage that stack up and up and up. If you support that with Swift, be spamming the Tempest even more. With efficiency support, it's going to be critting more and more, and with breaking support, it's going to keep the target vulnerable for even more damage. And all of this is while I'm just standing here letting the construct just, do its thing. So, to say the least, we strongly suggest you run this combo of governing stones and attacks while farming the bosses. You might find yourself killing many malphases or Duriels over the coming days, and this is going to help those kill times. This is all before it gets buffed on Thursday, so it's only going to get better. Speaking of that patch on Thursday, let's talk about that, which is mostly going to be a wall of bug fixes. It's just genuine scrolling of fixes here. Although there are some important impactful stuff, like the return of the comical nerf to vampiric and suppressor enemies. I say comical because this was actually announced just before the fast patch we had to change vaults and so on. It was this tiny patch with bug fixes and these changes to 2 enemy types, announced on a sort of schedule. Clearly, it was planned and set to go before Season 3 even launched, which says a lot. They accidentally let the patch notes go out on a sort of schedule, despite their plans being greatly changed from when they initially planned that patch. All the feedback and the reaction to Season 3 made them change gears, and I think what happened is they forgot to not schedule those patch notes to go out when they did, and that was shown by the fact that they immediately pulled the patch notes down from when they went out and then promised for a better patch based on the feedback coming soon. To their credit, they did that and released said patch even faster than we expected on a Friday. So these updates to enemy types were expected because of that, and now they're finally landing on Thursday. The amount of health a vampiric enemy can heal for is reduced down to 25% from an insane 50% in World Tier 4. While the suppressors, which can be a real nightmare in those final rooms during a vault run, they're getting nerfed too. The patch is actually going to change their behavior beyond just percents, meaning the suppressor field won't always be on. It'll last 6 seconds with a roughly 50 to 75% average uptime. Windows in which you can freely destroy them, especially as a ranged player who gets ruined by the silly affix. We can also pause that field if we were to, say, stun, freeze, knock down, or even daze these enemies too. So this is going to be much better to deal with this enemy type, and maybe you won't have to avoid it so much. Outside of all of that, we also had that wall of buffs to the Seneschal Construct Companion. Huge increases, damage increases to Gyrate, Pummel, Bushwhack, Impale, Focus Fire, and more. The type of governing stones that are seeing very little use. Most notable would be the damage increase to, say, Firefly, which we just discussed is already nuts for killing bosses. That's getting a 10% damage increase. And then Tempest, which is incredible for the effects during mob clear and also single target, that's also getting a 10% damage buff. Outside of that, there's going to be healing increases for Reconstruct and big damage buffs for, say, the various element and damage over time effects that were pretty much unused. Will this be enough to change the meta that we currently run with these stones? Probably not. Most people are using Tempest, Flash of Adrenaline, and also Firefly. And with Tempest and Firefly getting better, I just don't think things are going to change. Still, it's a welcome change because more power for us is a good thing, but I just don't think it's going to shift the meta. After that, in the notes, we just have a wall of bug fixes, which is always good to see, but there are some larger issues I'd like to see changed with more feedback in time. This all comes off the back of that surprise feedback-based patch that changed the way we farm the Echo of Malphas in the Uber Vault. There was a new currency added to avoid spending pearls to open said vault, the new Igneous Cores. These come from the Sons of Malphas, which is sort of an RNG thing that happens, and then a % drop from Vault Heralds, the guys we spam summon at the new Brazier events. This then results in farming Brazier events to get those cores as the only reliable way to get them, only way to get into the Uber Vault. Farming these open world events isn't really challenging and certainly not interesting. You show up, dump your resources, usually with tons of other players doing the same, and while to be fair, it's good XP and lots of stones to upgrade what you might still need to, it's just not fun. It's not good gameplay. You're just standing there spamming abilities while everything dies instantly. Honestly, you can stand there AFK and all the players there are going to kill everything anyway, no problem. You just tab in, pick up your cores that might have dropped, and just keep going. Malphas was improved as well to have a 3% chance to get the unique stones when you open the chest at the end of that fight, and a 0.5% chance per Malphas kill itself. This equates to roughly 30 or so kills on average to get one of your unique stones. Personally though, those numbers have been very unkind to me. I've farmed over 50 echoes of Malphas at this point, and I've still not got a unique stone. And there's no mercy system, so while the average might be about 30 kills for most people, it could be 100 for you, or 300, because every time you do it, it's still a 3% chance. I do this grind because I know the gauntlet is coming. I certainly don't do it for fun because it's just not. So I'd love to see a mercy system for unlucky people like myself so that I can finally get these damn stones. And I'd love it if the cores that actually open the Uber Vault would come from different sources than one open world event. Like, crazy idea, they drop in the vault dungeons in World Tier 4. You know, the new dungeons that the devs spent all that time making that they want us to do? Why not put the currency in there? That'd be great. But there you have it. That's the pile of news and different topics over the last few days. Let us know what you think though. We're interested to see the reaction to the patch, for example. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. is goodbye.